Peggy, how's the restaurant doing now that you're back open?
It hasn't been without its challenges, but doesn't that make it more rewarding?
Yes,
Really
absolutely.
more
What
exciting.
I keep telling myself. No, it's been good. It's been great to be back in the swing of it. It's been awesome. What's that?
Just to be able to be doing what you do.
Yeah, totally. It's great.
All right, Crystal, do you want to wait a couple minutes or are we getting started?
I guess we could get started. I'm not quite sure. I thought that Pete was joining. We'll see. And Kim will join us when she is able. So let's go ahead.
Great. We'll call this meeting of the Jamestown Local Development Corporation to order. It is currently 5:03 p.m., September 15th, 2021. Welcome, everyone. It's been a while since I've seen all of your lovely faces, and now I get to see them as Hollywood Squares again. So welcome. We're glad to see you. I know Tim's doing a great job posing over here. Be asking him questions later in the question and answer session, right? So we got a couple items on our agenda today. First and foremost, it looks like we're missing some minutes from the August 25th session, so we will table that. As well as I spoke with John, and he had mentioned that we're still working on some of the financial reports. He's had a very busy summer and has enjoyed some time off, which is much needed and much deserved. So we're going to hold off and table those two items if that's okay with the board. All right. The first one we have is a approval on Nate Enterprises. Crystal, do you want to talk about that for the team?
Sure. And then I'll pass it to John because he has the specific loan numbers and information. Nate Enterprises LLC is one of our loan recipients. Their original loan was for
30,000.
30,000.
Yep.
Thanks, John. They have been making regular payments on their loan. They did take advantage of the freeze that we had done previously with the pandemic. They are current on their payments. They are requesting that that they make interest-only payments on their loan through the end of this year due to the non-payment of rent. So they're not receiving their rental income on their properties. So that's their request. And I don't know, John, if you want to just fill in any number specific information.
So Nate Enterprises started out with 30,500. Their loan started in the early 2017, and they haven't missed a single payment until the interest only payment started with COVID. And then they did make the first payment here. So they do have a good history of paying their bills. I just know they've been struggling. And I mean, it doesn't really hurt us that much if they pay interest only, other than we're not receiving the principal and they push it back farther. But they pay $93 in interest, and their normal payments are $300.19.
So the request is to approve those interest-only payments for Nate Enterprises LLC through the end of 2021.
Take advantage of the federal money that's been available for some of the rentals?
I know that they have tried. I think that program is not without its challenges. So I don't know. They certainly haven't been able to recoup everything that they have not been able to bring in.
As long as they're aware of it and
Yep.
able to take advantage of what they can, I'm supportive of making interest-only payments.
I think I think Chris, you bring up a great point. It's been, I think for many of the landlords, we've been hearing that they can try to apply for it, but it also requires the tenants to apply for it. And unless both are working in conjunction, it's been hard to get those approved, but good. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? All right, so just to be clear, do we have a motion to convert Nate Enterprises loan to interest-only payments until December 31st, 2021?
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Second by Chris. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, that has passed. The next item on our agenda is approvals for a fund for downtown programming proposals. Crystal, I'll let you and your team take over.
Great, thank you. So I did send out the information regarding we have 3 applications for fund for downtown programming to present for approval. They have all been reviewed by the subcommittee and are put forth for with recommendation for approval. Let's see. The first one, there's Vicky again. Give her a second to get back in. Hey, Vicky.
Hi, I
Welcome
don't know
back.
where I went.
We were just getting ready to review proposals for submissions for the downtown programming fund.
Okay.
So we have 3 on the agenda for this evening. The first one is a proposal from the Comedy Center that was submitted. Actually, it was submitted quite a while ago prior to their Riverside Saturdays, and that's what their submission, their request is for. So they had, if you recall, they had 7 events. They submitted that prior to, with the hope of the additional $500,000 being approved for beyond what was left in the New York State set aside from the Fund for Downtown Programming. So we had, if you remember, we had some projects that were in the queue that had to be delayed and or canceled because of the pandemic. So the Comedy Center submission was outside of those grants that had already been awarded. So this one would come out of the additional funding that was approved beyond the New York State DRI money.
Crystal, I had thought you were going to send us a summary of who had received funding already and
I
summary.
think that I did, but I can resend it.
I don't remember getting it. Because I thought our intention with the new funding was to branch out to different organizations who hadn't already received funding as a priority.
Okay.
Thought that was our discussion, unless I'm totally missing that.
Nope, I think it's ultimately it's up to the board what direction you want to take. So I can tell you that the Comedy Center is the only request so far that we have with an application for the additional funding. And that was submitted prior to their Riverside Saturdays. So we did invite Journey to give some recap on those events and be available to answer any questions.
I mean,
So
are they still searching for the 136,000 even after? I mean,
Yes. Yep. So they did take a risk on moving forward with that, not knowing for sure if they would be granted the funds. I know that they certainly didn't make any money. I think they lost some money, but I'll let Journey give you that information if anyone, are you guys ready for us to let her in?
Sure.
She is joining us now. Hi, Journey.
Hello.
Welcome. We are just reviewing your application that you submitted for Riverside Saturdays. So I guess what the board is looking for is just a recap on how those events went and any information that you want to provide in support of your application.
Great. Thank you all so much for having me. I appreciate the time and the opportunity to field any questions and tell you a little bit about how it went. Thank you even for the consideration of this application. This was, as the application said, intended to be a 7-week event series that would drive the economy and recovery of that economy in Jamestown this summer during a difficult time coming out of a really difficult year. And I cringe when I think about that we can't quite even say coming out of at this point, given how the pandemic's going. But the intention was always for this to be an event that both drew locals downtown to downtown Jamestown and drew tourists to make an economic impact. It was also designed to extend the stay of someone who might think, oh, okay, there's this museum there I could go to during the day, but once you attend an event that doesn't start a film screening until 8:45 at night, that quickly turns into dinner and a hotel room. And that's exactly what we saw. So we have preliminary data based on a survey that we did, and not everyone was surveyed. But in the survey that we did, we found it was that mix that we hoped for of about 50% local and 50% people from out of town. Let me make sure I have this right, so I'm not misquoting. 52% of those surveyed, and we only did the survey on one night. So, take this with a grain of salt or take it for whatever value you want to give it. But the survey that we did, 52% of those surveyed ate in Jamestown restaurants on that day. 45% stayed in local hotels. The attendance at the Riverside Saturdays, the first few weeks, we were averaging about 500 people. And by the 5th week, we exceeded 1,000 people. So as you know, no, we weren't charging for this. We did offer concessions, but I'll say the labor lift to operate the concessions and move them all out into the green space and supply it and all of that pretty quickly ate up, any hope for significant profits on the concessions. It was more to be of service to the moment and make sure people had sustenance who had hungry kids or, whatever it was. But mainly this was also an event that I think lent itself very well to encouraging downtown spending. So if the movie starts at 8:45, guess what people are going to think about doing before that movie at 8:45? They're going to eat downtown. But it was also completely accessible. If you didn't have $1 to spend, you could bring your family to the riverfront of Jamestown, spend time on a newly outfitted patio of a historic train station, safely cross the tracks in a spot that maybe many people hadn't, and enjoy play equipment that we purchased and put out for any and all kids and families to play with every week for the afternoon leading up to the evening event, and enjoy live entertainment followed by a film. It became sort of the ultimate family-friendly kind of experience, but for the fact that some people put their kids to bed, obviously earlier than 8:45, but that was a daylight issue. We couldn't really project successfully onto those screens until the sun had truly set. But we were thrilled with the results. Obviously in conversations we had and surveys we did, we saw people from Erie, from Buffalo, from Cleveland, from Pittsburgh. There were also anecdotes of groups of people from Rhode Island. I remember a group that had heard it when I did an interview on Flash Phelps 60s on 6 on Sirius XM, rumored to be one of the most widely listened to shows on Sirius. They got in their cars, having heard it on a Thursday, and came to Jamestown from Rhode Island, on a Saturday and said that's where they'd heard it. I knew another family I talked to and asked, so, what brought you here? Where are you from? Who had like a gaggle of teenagers with them. And they said, well, we've actually, the main couple, the sort of hosts said, well, we've been to the Comedy Center before. We're from Erie. But this time we brought our daughter and all of her friends and made a night of it to see the movie, and we got a hotel room, or I guess a couple of hotel rooms. So those are anecdotes, but this did what we hoped it would. And for any of you that may have attended, it was a beautiful, beautiful sight to see a diverse group of people gather across all socioeconomic demographics and enjoy the event for what they wanted from it. Some people brought their kids and played outside with play equipment and left before the movie ever started. Some people showed up just for the film, and that's why they were there. Others used it as a social event and hung out on the patio kind of away from where the film was being screened. And we're reconnecting after a year of being in quarantine away from one another. So we were thrilled with the results. We think that this has the potential to become a signature series for Jamestown. We did a lot of press on it. We got a lot of press on it. So there were just anecdotally, 5 stories on AM Buffalo about Jamestown's Riverside Saturdays. When you think about how powerful that is in our largest drive market, 5 stories on Jamestown, New York, doing this series weekly is incredible for Jamestown. And it's the kind of activity that, we knew the summer of 2021 really needed to sort of try to keep some lifeblood flowing downtown. And I think it was a tough year for any organization to try to present things with labor shortages. So just a note about what this ended up looking like. We maximized every staff person we had because it really extended our hours well into the evening, and we're already open on Saturdays. So there were a lot of, it's something I feel good about when I think about economic impact in the community. When you have hourly employees making time and a half because of the hours that this event drew us into and because of a nationwide labor shortage, that's a great thing to put additional dollars in the pockets of people who are going to spend it in the local economy. We had 9 summer interns, and this program series was a big part of their summers. And the majority of those interns moved here from out of town, stayed at local JCC housing or Airbnbs. And, we know college age kids are just after, they're not really cooking for themselves too much. They're grabbing stuff on the go. They're trying to fuel their day with coffee. And so just think about the economic impact of, or the induced impact of having an internship program centered around producing this event and the amount of hours they spent downtown accordingly. We needed 20 volunteers a night. So on top of the paid labor of our line staff and the involvement of all of our management team, people who are salaried were working on this thing. It was all hands on deck for sure for us to run this well, especially for the first time out. So if you think of the management team, 20 volunteers a night at least, 9 summer interns, and a ton of line labor, there are a lot of people coming downtown that weren't even the patrons just coming to enjoy the activities. And so I hope it did good things for Jamestown, and I hope you'll consider supporting it. And I'll be quiet so that you can ask me questions if you'd like.
Thank you, Journey. Does anyone have any questions for Journey at this time?
You're still asking for the 136,000, Journey?
That's correct. And in case anybody's wondering, did we end up spending that? Yes, and we ended up spending more than that. So just as an example, we spent 11,000 just in line labor, and that's not in that budget. So there are a lot of expenditures that we incurred that are not part of that budget by any means. Another example, I think we had budgeted 3,000 for family entertainment and activities and ended up spending more like 10, to acquire better equipment and toys to put out, or things would go missing or whatever it was. Not in a crazy way where my own board will fire me, hopefully not, but we were over budget in most areas in terms of the investment we ended up putting into it. Oh, I'm sorry. So I said, so it was I have this figure here. It was, instead of spending 3,000 on the family entertainment and games line item, we actually ended up spending 8, just as one example.
Thank you, Journey. Any other questions for Journey?
I just wanted to say thank you. I think it was an awesome event. I went to a couple this summer and it was really great to see the community out and enjoying it. I was also curious, how much do you feel like was spent that is potentially an investment in future, years, or, obviously those screens cost a lot of money, I would assume, like, that would be another thing I just would be curious about.
Yeah, I can certainly follow up with a specific figure, but the screens alone were over 20,000. And so those are reusable assets for the park and to continue to drive activity, and they're portable. Signage, there's going to be signage that was evergreen that we can reuse. And part of activating the waterfront or getting people to experience green space and park space at all is making it feel like they're welcome and that there's a way down there, and telling them how to get down there. So some of that signage, I think, is really key in terms of assets we acquired. And I should say, on the note of the food and beverage operation, my department intern was in charge of it, and it was the source of a lot of laughs in terms of the size of the signage and whatnot. But my point is, one of the things we did was contact all the local downtown restaurants and say, hey, I know this is a new space you're not familiar with, but can we promote you on a board that says to all the patrons as they arrive, so everybody has to walk by it, that you will deliver to the patio. And we would make sure that their delivery people did know how the heck to get down to the patio and deliver it. So we made it as easy as possible for the attendees and the restaurants to do business that we weren't in the middle of transactionally, but tried to facilitate it by letting them know about the series, letting them know that they could deliver there, and that we'd be promoting the fact that they could deliver there to the patrons. And it was great to see families, head down there and order a pizza that showed up right at the patio.
Right.
Great. Thank you, Journey. We appreciate all the work that you and the Comedy Center have done on putting those out. They were great successes, and we're great to see that people were coming downtown and were coming to the park and being able to enjoy some family-friendly activities in the midst of a pandemic around us. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you all for your consideration of supporting it. And for those of you I saw there, thank you for showing up, and thank you for telling anybody you told about it, or being excited, or being part of it just by being present. We're all in this together as a community, and I think the way forward for Jamestown is all of us working together to bring good things. So thanks for your time tonight, yourselves as volunteers and yourselves as people who care about this community and are spending your evenings on this. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Journey.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For our subcommittee, do you guys have a recommendation for that proposal?
Anyone on the subcommittee want to take this? Or, so I can. When we met about it, and I know some time has passed, the recommendation was to approve for the full amount. I'm not sure if there's additional discussion.
I would like to. I have some concerns from a legal standpoint, if we could go have an executive session about it.
Yeah, we can absolutely can. Would you like, we do have other executive session
That's
items.
fine.
We want to table this.
Table it and
is
add
that-
it to that. Yeah, you can table it and add it to that.
Okay, sounds good. So do we have a motion to table this request? So moved by Chris, second.
Me. or
Second.
whoever.
Second by Peggy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll table the downtown programming fund. And it will be noted that there is an executive session in regards to a legal issue for that programming event. Crystal, you have two other items that you want to talk about for the downtown programming fund?
Yep. So these are both actually submitted by Sittler HQ. Initially, these two separate events now were rolled into one event. This is one of the events that was approved in a previous round. Because of the pandemic, Doug Sittler was forced to kind of re-envision the way this event would work. So what he ended up doing was splitting it into two different events, one of which is a concert celebrating the 40th anniversary of the 10,000 Maniacs. And then the second event is Gerard Malonga, who was a partner and colleague of, oh gosh, his name is escaping me right now.
Andy Warhol.
Thank you. And Doug is actually here as well to present on his applications and answer any questions. So I don't know if we want to start with the 10,000 Maniacs application, and just to note, given some concerns that we have and that the band has and that Doug himself had, they have decided that they would like to move their event into April or March of 2022 in order to maximize attendance and to make sure that we're not planning an event for November and putting the event at risk of having to be canceled again. So if everyone's okay with that, I will let Doug into the Zoom. Hi, Doug.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Welcome. So we just very briefly mentioned that we'll start with the 10,000 Maniacs application.
Okay.
And that we, based on our conversation earlier, have decided that it will be moved to April or March or April of 2022.
Mhm.
And so with that, if you'd like to give everyone a quick overview, and we'll open it up to any questions.
Okay. With this grant, I think there's an opportunity to celebrate the 10,000 Maniacs with a 40th anniversary with a sold out show. We know they have a lot of fans, especially on the East Coast, that we would hope and believe that would be coming to Jamestown for this event, let alone the local celebration of it. So basically, planning for it, it's just a straight up rock concert with a good opening act as well. So basically, that's what we're looking for, the grant money, and we think it would be a big event. We wanted so bad to pull it off this November, but we just think selling tickets in this environment right now would be really, really tough. And we don't want this to fall short. We want it to be a sold out event that people are jazzed about, and it's like a celebration. And again, we expect restaurants to be filled those nights and that night, and hotel rooms. I have been in touch with the Hilton. When we tried to do this in 2020, pre-pandemic, I'd already reached out to them about doing hotel packages and things like that. I want to make it real easy for folks to come to town for the weekend, not just the night. So that's basically it as far as the Maniacs goes. It's pretty much a straight up concert, and that's kind of where it's at. Welcome any questions. And just one other addition to this is, I don't know how many of you folks know me or not, but I'm by trade, in the day, I'm the National Media Relations Director at UB. I've always been in marketing. In fact, Mayor Sundquist, I saw you at the Kathy Hochul press event last week. I was going to say hi to you, but I had to skedaddle. But I also grew up in the world of tourism and economic development. So when I do an event, there's all these other extras that I think I bring to the table, making videos for YouTube and things like that. They're often left behind. When we did the best day ever event, which we had very little time to market it, we had over 100,000 reach on social media. We had hundreds of likes and comments. It was really great getting Jamestown out there in a very positive light. And I would expect the Maniacs, being the 40th anniversary, part of my fee would be doing, making some videos and things like that. Again, just to add some, gravitas and some meaning to the event. And it's also a leave behind for years to come. I know the Maniacs have fond stories of Jamestown, and it could be a fun way of weaving it in there. So I just wanted to add that in there.
Great. So the other thing I wanted to just mention, and the request is for 10,000 in upfront loan, which would be paid back through grant, and then grant request, the grant suggested by the committee was for up to $25,000. And in talking with Doug, the intention is not to generate profit from this event. The band has their fee, their professional fees. Doug has his professional fees. It really would be, the grant would pay for actual costs and not anything over and above, just to make sure that we clarify that.
And to bridge the gap from the needed amount to 25,000, I'd probably have to sell about 650 tickets between $20 and $40, which under normal circumstances, I think would be an easy sell. Pandemic time, and that's why it was a big reason why we postponed the November show, is because we want to ensure success, not have to chase it.
Does anyone have any additional questions?
So, quick question: is this just one night then, or because the other thing seemed like it was over 3 nights?
Well, the other event that I have a proposal in for is for 3 nights, but the Maniacs, it would just be 1 night. The Maniacs would probably do something special, meet with their fans at the local pub or something, to make them feel welcome. So this is just a one-time thing. So,
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Good.
Do we want to have Doug go ahead with the second one, or do we want to take a vote first?
Crystal, I don't believe there's an application yet, correct?
No, there is.
There
I
is,
sent it out
okay.
earlier. Yep.
Okay. Why don't we have, if it's okay with this group, have Doug continue and explain the second event, and then we can do a vote on each of the other 2.
The second event, I don't know how many of you folks again know that my wife and I, we do a thing called Night Lights, where we light up the woods and forests. Right now we're doing our 9th year over at Griffith Sculpture Park. We had 5,000 people show up. And so we're used to putting together public events. And initially, I'm in contact with Gerard Malanga. Gerard Malanga was Andy Warhol's assistant from 1963 to 1971. He was his most trusted assistant. He was there for it all. He actually is a profound artist himself. So I would like to use him as a way of drawing attention to Jamestown's Riverwalk and Jamestown's brand as a creative community. I would like to bring Gerard Malanga to town for an event at the media room at the Reg Center for the Arts. But on top of that, I think it would be really great to do a free 3 evenings of video projections of Malanga's work and local artists as well. I want to make their local component down by the Riverwalk. And the goal there is, I was talking to Crystal about the new lighting scheme that's going to be happening down there. And we're with the proposed event of the first week of November. Not 100% sure if that's going to be ready, but we would create a reason for people to come downtown and walk the Riverwalk. I would work with the local restaurants and trying to get them to promote it as much as possible. It would be a great date night, fun family night activity to, go to dinner and then walk down to the Riverwalk and and see it. It's not meant to be a Las Vegas light show or anything like that. It's featuring art. It's kind of relaxing and almost meditative. With Gerard Malanga's feet, he has these very iconic images. In fact, if I showed them to you, some of you would be like, oh, I've definitely seen that. I mean, Mick Jagger, Allen Ginsberg, Bob Dylan. He was a very accomplished photographer as well, and as poet. So we would use some of his work as a backdrop. And I know nationally, publicity-wise, there's definitely some art websites that would be really thrilled to promote this and to know that it's happening. So again, from a national perspective, I add to it, you know, it has a little bit of, it could get some national attention, and, you know, every little bit helps. And, you know, Gerard has a following. I don't know if this would, how many people are going to, you know, come specifically to Jamestown to stay overnight to see this. I hope they would. We would entice them with all the great things. But I think it would be a great community event that's free. And then, like I said, it'd go for 3 nights, and we have to hire a projection team. I would be working with a guy who does video projections for national music festivals. In fact, he's in Colorado right now doing one. So it'd be 3 nights, and then Gerard would be speaking on the Friday night. And he'd be willing to do something else while meet and greet or meet with some college students or something like that. So I see it just kind of being a light, fast, easy way of doing it, of doing an event that's definitely COVID proof for the, you know, for the most part, other than the reg. So that's just basically the mindset of how this idea came about. Is there any questions? What's kind of cool too is Gerard this year is going to be, he's doing a big presentation at a big photography art gallery in New York City, and he's also speaking at the Warhol Museum. He's more excited about this. He actually told me if it came down to doing something in Jamestown or doing something at the Andy Warhol Museum in Pittsburgh, to take Jamestown. He's more excited about coming down this way. He lives over by Albany, New York, and I've worked with him a few times, and he's a real great person, and gets a lot of attention. Any questions I can answer?
Just to remind everyone, the loan needed for upfront costs, media and such would be 5,000. And then the grant requested is 16,500, which would pay back the loan and pay for expenses.
So
The 16.5 was recommended. This was exactly what was recommended by the subcommittee.
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you, Doug. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, see you, Tom.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Doug.
much. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work.
Thanks.
Now I'm sad Doug didn't come up and say hello to me the other day. All right. Do we have a motion to approve the application for the 10,000 Maniacs event?
Don't move.
So moved by Kim, second. Anyone?
Second that.
Second by Tom. Any questions, comments, or concerns?
Can I get a front row seat?
Maybe.
Maybe. The right price. Yeah.
It comes with a price.
Okay.
The price.
I think it's $55.
Yeah,
It's not too bad.
that's not bad.
That's not too bad.
They used to play at the Caboose in Fredonia when I was a student there, and they were just a common local band, and you know, they were really not that was the early 80s. They were not really that big yet.
You're showing your age with the
I know.
caboose in Fredonia.
I know. Yeah. And I don't know if the Caboose is open or has it been open in years, but who knows? Anyway.
All right. All those in favor?
I
Any opposed? Any abstaining? That has passed. Do we have a motion to approve the Gerard Malanga event?
Move.
By Tim, second by Peggy. Is that okay with the second, Peggy? Great. Any questions, comments, or concerns? All those in favor?
I
Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, that has passed. Do we have any other old business? Do we have any new business to come before this board? All right, do we have any other business to come before the board? I know there's executive session items, but just generally. Okay, hearing none, it looks like we have 2 executive session items. One looks like potential litigation, and 2 in regards to the sale or lease of real property that impacts the value. Any other ones? I think that's it. Sounds good. Do we have a motion to go into executive session with no action to be taken? So moved by Kim, second.
Is there a potential for action on one of those afterward?
If so, we'll go back into public session for any type of action. Okay. Although right now, Chris, one of those has been tabled, so. Do we have I got the motion in a second. All those in favor for executive session?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we're now in executive session. Crystal, is there anyone that you'd like to keep?
John, you can go ahead and go. Ben, you can as well if you would like. This is
I'm not getting picked up till 6, so I might as well stick around.
okay. And then we have someone who will be joining us for executive session.
Okie doke. Sounds good. We're going to go ahead and pause the stream and the recording, so please hold.
Stream.
Yep, it says streaming live.
Oh, great. Okay.
Not used to Zoom anymore. We use
I know. I've
We use
always had
Teams.
challenges with streaming on my account for some reason too. So, okay. So that, unless there's any other business to bring before the board, I think we are ready to adjourn. Does anyone want to make a motion? Thank you. Chris,
Second.
Tim, the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for your
Thank you.
time.